You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Ben Caputo and Cam Halbert are back with you on tonight's game recap to break down the IceDogs' defeat at the hands of the Erie Otters. 9-3 is the final score here at the Meridian Centre for the IceDogs and Otters in the first geographical rival game of the season, in front of a crowd at the Meridian Centre that 3246 was the announced crowd tonight here at the Meridian Centre. Thank you to everybody watching tonight on the live stream on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Make sure to hit subscribe, and smash that bell. And thank you to those listening on your favorite on-demand audio platform the next day when this is out. Cam, the IceDogs began a 3-3 here on a Thursday night. Again, maybe it's a good thing they get back on home ice again tomorrow against the Sarnia Sting, but from start to finish, just not their best effort tonight against the Erie Otters.
Yeah, we're starting to see some of the cracks in the IceDogs roster, I think. Again, we've talked a lot about it, especially after their loss on the weekend to Barrie at home, which felt awfully similar. They were just in it a little bit longer, but they're really starting to see the depth be tested. And again, really ugly loss here to Erie, but Erie, a sneaky good team in the West. They're 9-4-1 right now, so it's not like they were any slouches, but unfortunately, the IceDogs didn't look like they had a lot of energy tonight, and Flores wasn't able to bail them out like he's done so many times, and that kind of boiled over as well later in the game. But the good news is they do get right back after it against the Sarnia Sting. However, it is a 3-3, meaning that tomorrow's game is pretty important because that third game against Brantford, who has been struggling to start the season, but usually what cures their what cures them is a matchup with the IceDogs, and especially after a tough 3-3, that's not going to be an easy win regardless. So tomorrow's game becomes that much more important after tonight's pretty bad performance.
We're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau in the Wild Bills Out of Repair postgame later on tonight, and the head coach is not going to be pleased with that effort after coming off a strong win against the Sudbury Wolves in overtime there on the Sunday afternoon. We talked about it on our postgame, or on our monthly recap show, which you can find on our YouTube channel on demand. We had the GM West Consorti on, Captain Kevin He, and the head coach Ben Boudreau, and they were talking about how promising this 11-4 start was, and you had kind of said, for the next upcoming schedule for November, just finish 500. And this is a team that hasn't lost back-to-back games yet this season. So if they want to keep that streak alive, they're going to have to beat a Sarnia Sting group coming in here. But if you're the IceDogs, you kind of have to, just lick your wounds with this one and then just move on to the next day, because from start to finish, the Otters scored 6 goals in the middle period, which we'll get into with all of our game stats and things like that. Owen Flores was pulled in this game. Don't know, I don't know. I can't necessarily sit here and blame Owen Flores for a lot of the goals. There was maybe 1 or 2 that he could have back, but I think that was Ben Boudreau really understanding that there's still 2 big games left this week and get his starting goaltender out of there. Hayden Jeffrey, who plays in the Junior B, was able to get in there, and he looked decent given the circumstances, but what did you think of the whole dynamic of how it went tonight for Ben Boudreau's lineup?
Well, I mean, again, Flores plays with so much emotion, and you love that on almost every night, but I think tonight is one of those ones where it reminded me a lot of last year, where you got barking against the opposing team on the bench in the second period, where they've got the long change. So the Erie Otters bench was right in his zone, and it was a lot of barking back and forth in that second period. And again, it kind of boiled over. But there was a few, the Schaefer goal specifically, which kind of started the onslaught, I guess it would be. In the second period, again, it wasn't the first goal, but it was in this. I believe he made 3 or 4-1, and that one I think he would have won it back. That was one of the first ones. Now Matt Schaefer is projected to be the highest, or the first defenseman off the board in this year's NHL draft, so it's not like he's any slouch. It was a wrister from the point that I don't know if it was screened. It didn't look like it, and again, I think that's one that he normally has. But again, you can't expect him to be perfect every single night. There was a couple breakaways, 2-on-1s, and a lot of the times he's been able to bail them out for that. But they did not have the effort tonight. And again, it's not for a lack of working. It's just you're seeing playoff teams that are in their window. We talked a lot about this against Barrie specifically. Barrie looks like they are, going to be a strong contender in the East this year. Erie is sneaky good. I mean, they've got a couple NHL drafted players on the team, Carey Terrence, and they are definitely chippy. But they also have Spence and Schaefer, who are probably going to go. Well, Schaefer for sure, but Spence is probably going to go in the first round as well. So you've got 2 NHLers that are coming up that are just a heck of a load to handle, and the IceDogs didn't have it. Again, I think up front, their injuries, you're really starting to see them kind of get exposed, and luckily Sarnia is dealing with it. So again, I think they've got a good shot at kind of righting the ship before that 3-3 against Brantford.
And IceDogs 2020 second overall selection, Pano Femus, back in town, and he always has a good game against the Niagara IceDogs. Leads the way for the Erie Otters in points in his overage year. You always love to see Pano do well, but unfortunately he's burned the IceDogs more nights than not. He only a quiet 2 points tonight, but Matt Schaefer was definitely the guy that it's a feel-good story. He's from the Niagara region. His brother Johnny played for the Niagara IceDogs, and he comes back here, scored his first goal here, had a two goal night and 2 assist night. But again, we don't want to make this about the Erie Otters, but you got to tip their cap to them on a strong effort tonight. But we'll get into it tonight with our game stats. As always, are brought to you by the Gales Gas Bar, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Not just a gas station, they're a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales with multiple locations across Niagara. We look at it, Cam, and shots 44-29 in favor of the Otters. The middle period where they scored 6 goals, they had 16-8 over the IceDogs there. 44 shots to 29. The IceDogs never outshot the Otters in any of the 3 periods tonight. Did anything catch your eye there from that?
No, it didn't feel like it. Like I said, they were pretty much outworked. They were goaded into some penalties. And again, I think that the first period, the fact that it was 1-1 was kind of lucky in that sense. But, not like the IceDogs aren't a good team. So, but that second period, it just felt like this had been coming for a little while now. And that Barrie game, again, that masked a lot of issues because they were able to come back and make it 3-3. But we talked about that. The 7-4 final in that game, or 7-3 final, I believe, it does that score reflected the entire game, even though it was tied going into the third, right? So kind of just, you have that win over Sudbury, which was huge, but they blew the lead late. It wasn't a clean win, but they do get the 2 points, which is all that matters. But, they're going through the stretch right now. And again, like I said, they just got to go through November 500. But, it's not going to get any easier for the next little while because, again, like that forward depth, when you take out Waslin and Paris and Asadorian, it just gets kind of ugly kind of quickly.
And if guys have off nights, like
exactly.
the Kevin Hees and the Rubrics, Loshko was probably the only shining star tonight of the normal stars that we see on a nightly basis. But it'd be nice to have those other guys in the lineup to be able to have the pick-me-up when those guys aren't in there. And that's the depth that you need if you want to be a deep playoff team. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes when those guys eventually do get back. But the IceDogs definitely going through it right now, and they're being tested with their forward depth. As far as the specialty teams, Cam, this was a real difference tonight. Erie was 1 for 5 on their power play. They did score on their one, but Niagara 0 for 4 once again on the power play.
Well, again, I think that they were just, They had a couple decent chances in the third, but again, that might have just been Erie taking the foot off the gas a little bit. You saw that as it went along. But yeah, their special teams is, after such a hot start, is now power play is roughly 10th and in the middle of portions of the league, and then penalty kill as well is right in that middle range. So coming back down to earth after just a crazy start to the season. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that you're missing 3 power play players that would normally play on either one or the first or second unit, right? So when the first unit doesn't score, the second unit doesn't have the same offensive depth that normally it would have, and you're just seeing it, kind of struggle a little bit here. But, that's going to happen again over the course of a long season. I mean, we just saw Peterborough tonight beat Saginaw, so it's not it doesn't matter as long as you're in the league. You're going to have a shot to win every single night.
Face-offs for Stan Butler's crew with the Erie Otters. 50 face-off wins tonight. Niagara 30. So there was 80 face-offs in this game tonight. It was a very slow start, by the way, because of a review on an early penalty and a couple other things going on early in the game. It was a very, very slow game in that sense, and a lot of stoppages, a lot of whistles. So did anything catch your eye tonight from the face-off dot? Erie, obviously 50-30 advantage over the IceDogs.
No, it wasn't really noticeable. Again, there was so many, and not a lot of plays that were big because the game was over essentially in the second period, that it really didn't matter as the game went along. But, that was just another ugly part of the game tonight.
Lashko 13 of 29, Ray 8 of 17, Zada 6 of 19, Rubric 1 of 5. Charlie Hotless won his only face-off tonight. We did see a little bit of the depth player start to get some minutes. We saw cool story tonight, I guess. Despite the negatives, Nick Frasca playing against his brother tonight, and he picked up his first career OHL point on the IceDogs' third goal, so I'm sure that was a cool moment for the Frasca family, and as well Rafik Dayanov getting on the board. So despite, a collective effort that wasn't great, you had a few, feel-good stories in that.
Well, I got to be honest with you. So we talked a lot about this last year, that it was awful as the season went along where they just didn't have enough players because of all the injuries and everything like that. There was a lot of injuries last year. And they're mounting right now, but last year they didn't even have anyone to kind of fill in. Remember that Kitchener game where they had 9 forwards, right, and 5 defensemen. But now at least they were able to sign a couple players extra, so Hotless and Frasca as well as Dayanov to come in when the injuries happen. And the Barrie game was the first time we really saw them, and the Watcher as well. We really saw them get regular shifts in a game. And I thought that it looked like they were outmatched and probably not ready. I got to be honest with you. I think that Hotless looked much better. And Frasca had a pretty decent game as well. He took a really bad penalty to start the game, which obviously, tough for him there because he did get the starting nod, and on his first shift he got a 4-minute penalty. But, again, I thought that him and Dayanov actually looked somewhat, they looked much better than they did the other night, and I think that that's going to be big again because these injuries aren't just going away. Acidoran, I don't believe is going to be back anytime soon, so we'll have to wait and see on that. And same with Paris, and obviously we know that Waslin's at the U17, so he's definitely gone for a couple more weeks. So these guys are going to have to be relied upon, not just to perform and not give up goals, right? But just for the the health of the other 3 forwards, because the top 2 lines are getting worked a lot, obviously, and they're going to be important as we move along.
Get into our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Cam, luckily we don't have to go over all the Erie Otters goals. But we will start off with the Sam Alfano goal off that penalty that Nick Frasca took that you mentioned was their power play goal. Sam Alfano takes the pass from Pano Femus, and a minute 38 in, you saw the momentum go towards the Erie Otter side, and that could have been really the changing of the tide in this game.
No, absolutely. And, the one thing is that when they get down they always give up a goal early. It just seems the IceDogs do. But this year they don't go away, and that was no different tonight. Obviously, I feel for Nick Frasca in this. Again, he gets the starting nod. He's going against his brother, takes a penalty immediately, has to sit in the box, and they give up a goal. Like that. As a 16-year-old rookie, you're getting kind of the spotlight. That's tough. I felt for him because that's just an unfortunate sequence of events. But like I said, he calmed down and he played very well as the game went along. But yeah, just an awful tough start. And again, none of these games are going to be easy. Like I said, tomorrow, I would hope that the IceDogs can come out and play with a little bit of a lead, just given how the last few games have gone.
Yeah, you'd really hope so, and they're raising the banners of Brian Cullen and Marcel Dion here tomorrow, so it's going to be a big crowd on hand. You want to see them come up with their best effort. The Ice Dogs' lone goal for most of this game is the only highlight we have tonight, and it was Andre Loshko. And this was a nice play because the Ice Dogs have been hemmed in their own zone for basically a whole shift. And Andrew Wysick's able to carry the puck into the zone, finds Max Creed, who then drops it to Andre Loshko, and he rips it from the right circle to, at the time, give the Ice Dogs a tie game there.
Out front by the Ice Dog player to knock Hammond off stride. Here's Kevin Heed. Wysick scurries away as we're at the 7-minute mark of the first. Drop pass, Crete, Loshko scores!
Audio goal highlights are courtesy of YourTV. Catch the Ice Dogs at home and on the road on YourTV Niagara, exclusively on Cogeco.
That was a nice play all around, Cam.
No, absolutely. Wysick, again, flashes his ability to break the puck in, and again, the strongest on the team at doing so, I think. And Creed has really come alive offensively after, I think an adjustment period after he got moved up to the first line, and he's really fit in well. I'm glad that he's been able to handle that first line duty. Again, as a 16-year-old, that's not easy, especially because he's not. It's not like he's Ryan's size, He's undersized and he's got to work a little bit harder, and he's done a great job at it. And that was a nice, nifty pass to Loshko with an absolute missile wrister. So again, it was a great start or way to bounce back. But again, the whole first period, they just didn't feel like they had a lot of energy. It felt like the energy was being wasted after the whistles. There was a lot of scrums, there was a lot of yapping, a lot of gloves up in the face, but there wasn't a lot of it during the game. I guess that'd be the best way to describe it. So, again, and then the second period happened.
Yeah, so it was 1-1 after the first. It didn't look too bad, and then at the 3:19 mark, Martin Mishiak gets the Otters the lead there at 2-1, and it stays that way for most of the first half of the period. And then things really started to turn. The Otters scored 4 goals between the 8:19 mark and the 13:45 mark. 5 goals, excuse me. It was just an onslaught for the Erie Otters. 6 goals total in that middle period. I don't know if there's any ones that you want to really break down or touch on here, Cam. I mean, I did write all the goals down, but again, we don't have time to go over all the Otters goals, but all the funky stuff really started happening after the 5-1 goal. That's when Malcolm Spence kind of got into Owen Flores' face after Ty Henry had scored the 5th goal, and that really made the Ice Dogs goaltender irate, went after Malcolm Spence, and at that point, Ben Boudreau pulled the starting goaltender and put in Hayden Jeffrey for the remainder of the game, but I'll kind of let you go at where you want to with the middle period.
Well, again, I think that the Schaefer goal was, again, probably a weak one, that in a game like this where the only way that they were going to have a chance of winning is if Flores did like a normal Flores performance where he just stops everything and keeps them in it long enough. And that was, again, it was a wrister from the point short side. And like I said, I don't think it was screened, definitely one he wanted back. And then after that, it was immediately like 2-on-1s and breakaways, and then
backdoor.
Exactly. There was no chance for him, and obviously, again, he was emotional, and you love that. You want a goalie that just wants to compete and be out there all the time. But that kind of unraveled tonight, and it was unfortunate. I will say this. I mean, again, it's not about Erie, but we got to see Schaefer last year, and a defenseman, it takes a little bit longer, I think, to develop. And my goodness, can you see why he is going to go in the top 5 more than likely, because his ability to skate the puck and head up and control the offensive zone was just incredible, and it was on full display tonight. So it'll be interesting to see how high he goes, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's the first defenseman off the board in the NHL this summer.
Yeah, and he looked like a different player than when we saw him last year.
Completely different, because I remember, again, my first year covering the team, I remember being like, man, how did we get Ryan? And it's not like next year when Ryan's draft year, he's going to have the spotlight as well. But yeah, at least in the games that we saw against Erie, Schaefer didn't have like his. It was completely different this year. This is you can tell when you get an NHL defenseman because they always want the puck. And
he's confident now.
Yeah, and he is just flying. So he is going to be tough to handle for the entire Western Conference, the OHL for the rest of this season. And like I said, the sky's the limit in the draft here. I mean, after I think Hagen's probably locked up one, but we don't have to do draft talk on this episode.
No, we want to get out of here because we got another one tomorrow. But again. The Otters ended up scoring 7 unanswered goals.
Yeah, we should. So again, not to touch on them, but we should talk quickly just about Hayden Jeffrey. So he comes in.
Yep.
Was not anticipating playing. Flores was going to start all 3 and probably play all 3, right? But this was like, again, had to get him out of there because Flores was ready to fight someone, right? And obviously, if he does that again, we're looking at maybe losing him for a long period of time, given that he's already had a 4-game suspension this year for fighting. And again, love the emotion, and I love the battle for his team. But again, like this is going to be if this is a playoff team, we can't have long stretches where, especially there's no backup. Charlie's hurt, right? So
Charlie Robertson's on the shelf.
Charlie Robinson's on the shelf, right? So Hayden Jeffrey comes in. And his first shot is a goal against, and then the immediately 5 seconds later, this again is just a testament to the IceDogs just kind of gave up tonight, and it was a breakaway from Schaefer.
Right out of the box.
Out of the box, yeah, and it was just like welcome to the OHL, right? Especially when you're cold, you didn't expect to come in, and third period though, I got him credit. They had a power play early, and he looked fantastic.
Made 3 saves, sprawling back and forth.
Yeah, back to back. Like I love to see that, and this could have been 12. He did a fantastic job given the situation that he was in, and obviously not advantageous and not a situation we want to put him in. But he came in and just 8 minutes, and in the third period I thought he did great, and I thought the team showed up a little bit more in the third period for him. The second period was probably not fun to be in the dressing room, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Malcolm Spence scored that shorthanded goal right after the Schaefer breakaway, too. So It was just, Malcolm Spence completed the hat trick tonight, so, he padded his stats. But Jeffrey did a decent job considering that was his first game action at the OHL level. But in the third period, Matt Virgilio took the pass from Andre Loshko on the left side there, cut down and beat the goaltender for a nice shot. Nick Frasca gets his first career point on the goal. The Otters score once again, and then late in the third period there at the 18-18 mark. Too bad it wasn't a minute later. Could have got the fans at least a cheeseburger goal. But regardless, Rafik Dianov gets his first goal of the season. Ethan Zada, Sean Doherty get the assists on that. So if you're looking at the silver lining in this, the IceDogs 2-2 in the third as far as goals, even though it was in garbage time. But, at least they showed a little bit of life there at the third period.
And you can tell that Erie was hunting cookies in the third period with a backup goalie, and because they were just hucking anything at the net. And, again, I think the depth, like Zodianov and as well as Nick Frasca, I think it was great to see them look like OHLers. I guess that would be the way to say it. They look like OHLers tonight, and I think that's going to be big because maybe that allows the fourth line to play a little bit. Again, I think that I don't want to say we need to see a trade because I think that the eyes need to be staying on the prize here. That they've banked so many points that it's we don't need to be worried. They haven't lost 2 games in a row yet this season, so but every time we come in now and we're watching, again, that's, 15 goals against Flores in 3 games, in less than 3 games. So, and again, that's not on him. That's the team. I mean, obviously, he's got to, be better, but the team in front of him is really not playing the same. And again, I think it's just out of gas. They're really just rotating 3 forward lines. And eventually that's going to catch up to you.
You've been playing a lot of games, too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they've played a ton. I mean, they've played, right now they've played 16, right? So Barry's played 14 still. Brampton's played 14, right? So, and they're about to start a 3-3.
It's going to be a tough stretch for Niagara, and they're going to have to get right back at it tomorrow, just like us. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back, get Ben Boudreau's post-game, get Cam's stick tap of the game, and that'll be it for us tonight. But stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. We'll be back after this.
Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today. Because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gale's! Learn more at gales.ca.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, and Better Jobs Ontario information and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario. In the Niagara region, Global Pet Foods is your destination for premium pet nutrition and caring expertise. Whether you've welcomed a new furry family member or need advice on top quality nutrition, their dedicated staff is ready to help. Discover why Global Pet Foods' lesser-known premium brands outshine the big corporate names. Their team's passion ensures your pet's health and vitality. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where premium brands and caring staff make the difference.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
This is Alex Asadorian.
Hey, it's Ryan Roberg.
This is Ivan Gallianoff.
This is Gavin Bryant.
And this is the
Dog Pound Podcast,
the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to the Dog Pound Podcast and our IceDogs game recap right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody listening live on our live stream here from the Meridian Centre, and thank you to everybody listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you, continuing to break down the IceDogs' tough loss at the hands of the Erie Otters. Make sure to give us a follow at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage. Before we get going here, we've got a great giveaway going on with our friends over at Hockey Stick Man. Make sure to check out our Instagram post or our Twitter post so you can get in on that giveaway. Again, at the end of November, we'll be giving away a hockey stick and a prize pack from our friends at Hockey Stick Man at valued at over $300, so you're going to want to look for that on social media. We'll post it again next week as well if you want to get in on that. Our great partners over there and a proud sponsor of the Armchair GM Sports Network. So with that said, Cam, before we get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau for his post-game thoughts, 11-5 right now. Central Division still pretty wide open right now with the IceDogs, being atop of the conference. We expected that they would go through some tough games. We weren't expecting that this team would stay, not losing back-to-back games. Newsflash, as you said on our monthly recap, they're gonna go through some adversity, and I think that a game like this can be a real learning experience. And I think the best thing about a game like this is that they're going to have two more cracks at it this week. I think if this would have been the last game of the 3-3 and they had 5 days or so to sit on it, I think that might have lingered around. But the fact that they're able to get right back at it tomorrow and Saturday up in Brantford, which is a game they really want to end that streak there, you take away some positive feedback and some learning lessons from a game like this.
No, absolutely. But again, I think it's just starting a trend. It started with that Barrie game, and you don't love that, but you can't argue with the fact that as of tonight, they're still first place in the Eastern Conference. They're still 1 point up on Oshawa with a game in hand. So, we can't really be all that concerned. I think that if they go 0-3 this weekend, then, the things you need to right the ship pretty quickly. But Sarnia might just be exactly what they need because, again, it's at home, so they can, and it's immediate. And Sarnia has been struggling after a pretty decent start. They're 4-5, 0-1 in their last 10. So they are going through it a little bit. They've also played 18 games already compared to Niagara's 16. But we'll have to wait and see here. But big opportunity to get back in it tomorrow.
Get to IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau's post-game thoughts on our Wild Bills Auto Repair post-game. Brought to you by Wild Bills Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Here's what the IceDogs head coach had to say about his team's performance and how they will look to bounce back tomorrow night against the Sarnia Sting.
You must be glad for the schedule makers because 3-3, you're back on the ice tomorrow and you can forget about this.
Yeah, 100%. We have yet to lose back-to-back games. We don't want to start tomorrow night. We've been a resilient group, so we're honoring two great legends. I think it's great for the city of St. Catharines to bear witness to such great goal scorers as Marcel Dion and Brian Cullen with all their contributions to the city as well. So I can't wait to be a part of it. And at the same time, if most of the hockey world is coming into town to celebrate these two great individuals, I think they're going to get to witness a team with what their resiliency and what their level of care is really like with their play. They're going to tell us how good they are tomorrow.
Are you going to welcome them on the ice as the ultimate overagers?
Well, I mean, ultimately, if I could still get Marcel into a game, I would take his 500-plus career junior points any day of the week here. So if Marcel could still skate, I would take him. And Brian is a little bit too old for me to remember, but I'm sure he was good in his own right.
In hindsight, last question. In hindsight, playing Flores 5 games in a row, did you think about giving Hayden a start and letting Owen play tomorrow night and perhaps against Brentford?
No. I got Flores going back tomorrow, and right now he's scheduled to play Saturday as well.
When's Robertson coming back?
I mean, ideally it would have been this weekend, but he's not ready, and he's had a history of injuries, going back to North Bay, even with us, to start the year. So, I mean, right now it's up in the air. I don't think there's a definitive date. He's still not practicing on the ice, so it's tough to say when he's going to get in the game.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Ben, I mean, I know it's hard to evaluate that one. That middle period, you gave up 6 goals. Were you able to kind of get a message through to them either in the intermission or after the game that you need to really have a whole collective effort better than that, luckily, tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, our best players got to be our best players. I mean, Kevin Hayes, 0 points, -2. Ryan Rubrick, 0 points, -5. Really tough night. Owen Flores, it was an off night for him. I didn't like him. He was emotional, didn't keep them in check. So, Loshko was 1-1, but outside of that, it's tough to win games, when you rely on your depth solely. I mean, even Van Fleet, -3, Jack Browdy, -3, with 0 points. I mean, I thought our power play really struggled. I thought there were certain individuals that didn't play up, and it's tough to put expectations on a 16-year-old like Max Crete, who's playing on the top line. So it's tough to put expectations on 17-year-olds to carry your team. So, you can point and say, we're missing some depth, we're missing this guy, but at the end of the day, the guys who've been carrying us to this point are the ones that didn't show up tonight, and I thought it really cost us.
You think they went a little bit too individualistic, as you talk about, instead of playing within your structure and them really being able to break you down over there on the Erie side, and led to multiple breakdowns and multiple goals, which is something that your team hasn't really done all this year. You guys have been pretty structured for the most part on the back end. So, is there anything that you can dissect as far as what it was, or just an effort compete thing?
Just, I think it was a mental preparation thing. We weren't ready to play as a team. It was tough, but what are you going to do? You wake up tomorrow and you have another chance to get back at it. So, we can't sit and wallow right now with all the negatives. We just got to get a good sleep and jump back into it tomorrow.
Lastly, about Flores, was it just more so just getting him out of there because he was a little bit too obviously animated out there and he was fired up, and that you got to use him the next 2 nights? So was it more so just trying to get him out of there so that things wouldn't escalate and him getting himself in extra trouble there?
I've seen this before, that when he plays with emotion, typically it's not at his best. I mean, he got suspended for 4 games when he got into that fight. I think goalies aren't supposed to fight. He did the one, it's over with. Okay, now you don't need to do it again. I remember him in Brantford a few times kind of getting that, and the second he started with that emotion, it was time to pull him. I mean, he's slated to play tomorrow. He's slated to play on Saturday. So if we could conserve some minutes with the way our team was going, I decided obviously to give Hayton an opportunity there. But at the same time, if I thought our team was better and still had a chance where we were fighting, maybe I could have stuck with them. But you could just see that our team wasn't ready to go. We just didn't have it. And hopefully live to fight another day come tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame. Cam, take it away.
No, I think that he echoed the sentiment they were talking about, to pull Flores to save him for some minutes, and I think that he brought up a good point just about he's hard on the top guys, and obviously you don't want to always have to rely on the top guys, and you want some depth as the season goes along, but they do need to perform, and lately it's been a tough go. We talked about that in the monthly recap show, that the first 8 games for Kevin and the second 8 games have been a bit of a struggle, but he's going to be the focal point of the defense of every team now that we face. But I mentioned in the third period that I didn't even realize that Ryan was playing tonight. This was probably his quietest game. Like, there was no offensive opportunities. He is usually he'll lay the body a little bit, and there just really wasn't anything. And then that happens, right? Like, and then that happens. I bet you any money that come tomorrow night that he's going to have a fantastic game, and I bet he gets a couple shots early on in the first period there. So he echoed everything that we saw. Again, the big guns didn't come out, and when your depth is really lacking, then it gets real scary real quick.
And the Flores situation, he said he's going back to him tomorrow, and most likely slated on Saturday against Brantford. Still no timetable for the return of Charlie Robertson. And he talked to, honestly about, he's been giving Flores a lot of praise this year. He said that he's given them a chance to win on a night-in, night-out basis, but tonight was just a little bit too emotional, and when he plays with so much emotion, that's when he gets himself into some trouble.
Yeah, he loses his focus a little bit, and I like the line of, you had the one fight, goalies aren't supposed to fight, so it's not his job to, even when the team, to be honest, they probably needed the boost, to someone needed to go and, just cause a ruckus, essentially. But it can't be your goaltender, on any night, really. If that's what's happening, then that's a whole team structure issue. And, again, you're going to have nights. It's a long season. You're going to have nights like this where you just don't have it. And I bet you tomorrow night with the banner-raising ceremonies for Dion and Cullen, we're going to have probably quite a few more people in the arena as well. It's good. The energy is going to be high, and I bet you that first period is going to look far better than any sequence that we saw tonight.
Hopefully, the IceDogs will have a better effort all around in that game. And he just talked about the depth scoring, like they just need those guys to come through, and we haven't really seen that bottom 6 consistently be able to pick up those top guys. And it's just tonight was the microcosm of what's happened there when your top guys aren't necessarily your top guys on a nightly basis, Cam. But before we get out of here, we're going to put you on the spot, as always, with our player of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man. Pro stock hockey sticks for half the retail price. Check out their website at hockeystickman.ca to join their mission in saving hockey families money. Again, in a 9-3 loss, it's hard to pick a best player tonight. So, who kind of stuck out to you in a positive light despite that?
100% Hayden Jeffrey. That third period, the first 5 minutes of that third period, they could have scored 3 or 4 goals alone again. He was put in a brutal spot, but it was an important one. You heard, you heard from head coach Ben Boudreau. Flores rest him for tomorrow. He's going to play 3-3. And I thought today you could see the jitters when he first got put in. He wasn't expecting it, and he again got welcomed to the OHL, the breakaway against one of the best prospects in the entire sport. But I thought that he did a great job in the third period. So props to him. And I think that again the team just had a pretty brutal effort from start to finish tonight.
16-20 on the night for Hayden Jeffrey, and again, the first two, I think 2 or 3 went in to start the game for him, so he really settled down, as you mentioned, as the third period went on, so all the props to Hayden Jeffrey, Andrei Loshko with the goal and an assist, Rafik Dayanov getting his first goal, and of course, Nick Fraska getting his first career OHL point. So that's going to wrap up a shorter post-game here on the Dog Pound podcast. Cam, thanks for doing it, and again, we've had we've had the luxury, and maybe we're a little bit spoiled so far this year, more times than not, recording our live game recaps here on wins, but we still got to come on here, win or loss, so we're going to be right back at it tomorrow for Sarnia, and hopefully that the IceDogs can have a great effort in front of what's going to be a great crowd for Marcel Dion and Brian Cullen.
Absolutely, can't wait. I'm excited that they get back at it tomorrow.
That's going to wrap up another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara region locations. Thank you to everybody tuning in tonight on our YouTube channel and our live stream, and thank you to those who listen on the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. And if you do, hopefully the IceDogs come out with a better effort tonight against the Sarnia Sting. So for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. Until tomorrow or tonight, if you're listening to this the next day, that's going to wrap up another Niagara IceDogs game recap. We'll be back at it for the IceDogs and Sting. We'll see you then.